Good evening. Have a seat and give yourself a big round of applause for not being on Zoom and for wearing pants. Welcome to the 59th annual gala of the New York Youth Symphony. How wonderful is it to be out in this beautiful space in New York City? I'm Elliot Forrest, afternoon host on WQXR, producer, director, and proud trustee of the New York Youth Symphony for the past 15 years. I am so proud of the work that this organization does. And tonight we are not only celebrating the Youth Symphony's 59 years of providing outstanding music education to students in the tri-state area, but also the return to live performing arts. Whether you are here with us in person or you're watching on the live stream, I think we can all appreciate this for the first time since March of 2020, that the New York Youth Symphony has held this kind of event in person. We are so happy to be here, and music is back, and theater is back, and dance is back, and the arts are back, and we're here to celebrate tonight. The Youth Symphony's 6 programs have been actually up and running in person since September. And tonight I have the pleasure of guiding you through the performances of some of our incredible students from the orchestra and from chamber music, who are representing over 280 students in the New York Youth Symphony Orchestra and jazz program and chamber program and musical theater program, composition, and conducting. But first, we begin with the presentation of our honorees, Benson Chapman, the McCutchen Foundation, and composer and New York Youth Symphony alum, Jessie Montgomery. Here to tell you more about the awards is our board president, Bill Capel. Bill.
Thank you, Elliot. Good evening. I'm Bill Capel, President of the Youth Symphony Board of Trustees, and I'm thrilled to see everyone here tonight. The Youth Symphony would not be able to do what it does without the generosity and support of everyone in this room. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about the awards we're presenting tonight, but first I'd like to take a few minutes to do some reflecting. Our last in-person benefit was almost exactly 2 years ago in October 2019. That was 5 months before the pandemic hit home in New York and throughout the country. And suddenly everything changed. For the Youth Symphony, the pandemic meant that we had to cancel our spring 2020 performance cycle. For many others, the consequences were far worse than that. But the Youth Symphony would not be deterred. This past season, the 2020-2021 season, which was completed this past summer, was in many respects our most successful season ever. What's most impressive to me about it is the ingenuity that Shauna Quill, our executive director, and our artistic directors demonstrated in adapting our programs so that our student musicians continued to have incredible learning and performance opportunities, notwithstanding the pandemic. And how did our programs adapt? The orchestra recorded its first ever album by bringing smaller groups of students together to record in sections. The jazz band put together an online performance course that examined big band repertoire, and because it was online, it could include students from around the country. The chamber music program had no fewer than 32 ensembles and 113 students, both all-time highs. Some rehearsed at home, some online. The composition program also had more students than ever before and included young composers from Florida, Nebraska, Trinidad and Tobago. The musical theater songwriting program wrote songs based on the movie Coraline that were performed at a virtual masterclass by students from the Harlem School for the Arts and the New York Film Academy. I could go on and on talking about the great things that our student musicians accomplished last season, and I know that many more great things are in store for this season, especially now that we're going back to live in-person performances. But for now, I'd like to thank our artistic directors, Mike Repper for the orchestra, Lisa Tipton for the chamber music program, Kyle Blaha for the composition program, Andy Clausen for the jazz band, and Anna Jacobs for the musical theater songwriting program, for the leadership and incredible creativity that they've demonstrated during these most unusual times. And none of it would have been possible without the unparalleled vision and leadership shown by Shauna Quill, our executive director. Shauna's ability to adapt our programs to changing circumstances while maintaining the Youth Symphony's mission to educate and inspire young musicians is nothing short of amazing. How about we all give Shauna and our 5 artistic directors one more big round of applause. I also want to take this opportunity to acknowledge 2 of our extraordinary trustees who passed away this year. Jacob Busso started off as a Youth Symphony parent, much like many of you here tonight, guiding his sons to musical careers and soon becoming the head of our Parents Guild with his wife, Eddie. His contributions to the Youth Symphony deepened when he joined the board in 2013. A professional architect, he helped us search and design office and rehearsal space and always provided wise counsel no matter what the matter was at hand, and he will be sorely missed. Sadly, just days after Jacob's passing, we learned of the passing of Johanna Garfield, a member of the founding family of the Youth Symphony, a longtime board member, the first board secretary of the Youth Symphony starting in 1965. To me, when I think of JoJo, as she was affectionately called, I think of all the love that she felt for the Youth Symphony, all the years of service she devoted to it to make it the best organization it could be. JoJo's spirit is definitely with us tonight. Many of her family and friends, including her husband and current emeritus board chairman, Les Garfield, are here as well, and I'd like to give them all a special welcome, and thanks for coming. Now for the introduction of tonight's awards, the Theodore Kesselman Award for Arts Education and the Johanna and Leslie Garfield Award for Arts Philanthropy. The Kesselman Award is named for the man who served as the president of the Youth Symphony from 1985 to 1994. The award was established to recognize those who have provided outstanding contributions in nurturing young people in the arts. Past award recipients include the violinist Midori, the composer John Corigliano, jazz musician Jimmy Heath, the New York Philharmonic, Juilliard, and NASCAP. Tonight, we're proud to present the Kesselman Award to a very distinguished Youth Symphony alumna, the composer and violinist Jessie Montgomery. As many of you know, her compositions are being performed these days by some of the top orchestras in the country. Board member Barbara Field will be presenting the award to Jessie. The second award being presented tonight, the Garfield Award, was established to recognize individuals who have provided leading support to arts organizations in New York and beyond. The award honors the legacy and countless contributions of JoJo and Les Garfield. Tonight's recipients are Youth Symphony trustee Ben Chapman and the McCutchen Foundation. Presenting the Garfield Award is Stephen Chapman, Ben's son. After Steve's presentation of the award to Ben, Barbara Field will come up to present the Kesselman Award to Jessie Montgomery. So Steve, the stage is yours.
Thanks, Bill. Good evening, everyone. My father knows a lot about the meaning of the word commitment. Next month, he will celebrate his 55th wedding anniversary with my mother. He has also served on the board of the Youth Symphony for 46 years, which is 6 years longer than I've been alive. And after having that milestone birthday earlier this year, it really hit home for me. You can see from his bio in the program that he has really been keeping busy after he supposedly retired 14 years ago. He has been actively involved with several charities and organizations throughout the years, and even more so in retirement. He's known as a quiet guy, but he gets things done. Whether it's family matters, work, or volunteer activities, he's all in all the time. We have had many good times together, including going to Yankee games, trying new restaurants, traveling around the world, and of course, going to many New York Youth Symphony concerts. I'm incredibly honored to present my father with this award. And now, Ben.
Taking pictures here. It's too heavy. Well, thank you for this honor. It is a great honor, but I've been telling just about everyone who will listen, it's really the McCutchen Foundation. Yeah, I am on the board of both organizations, but I think the organization to be honored is more so the McCutchen Foundation tonight. We have 4 trustees. Ann Terry, who lives in Bethesda and couldn't make it here tonight. Jack McClough, here Jack, he's table 5, he's a trustee. And Stephen, who you met, he's a new trustee as well. So there's the 4 of us going forward because the last of the McCutchen clan passed away. Charles McCutchen passed away in September of 2020. And there are no other McCutchen close family. No one else is on the board now, so it's up to the 4 of us going forward. This award, being the Garfield Award, is just really special to me because in 46 years working with Leslie and Joe, over all that time, and I think back of all the things we did, going to their house for fundraisers and meetings. You can imagine how many board meetings there were in all those years. Going on tour to Argentina, I'll mention that in a minute. So it's just a very special award for me. You can, in the program, there's a description of the McCutchen family, but they were a prominent family in Plainfield, New Jersey, I think in the late 1800s, and into the early 1900s. And then along about 1930, they built a house in Princeton and moved there. Charles was 1 year old at that time, so that while he did pass away September of last year at the age of 91. I've only been to their house once, but it's right near the Princeton, pretty much bordering on the Princeton campus there. And Charles, of course, went to Princeton as an undergraduate. Got his PhD from Cambridge. So on the grounds of the university, there is something called the Institute for Advanced Study, which has its own building. That is Albert Einstein. That's where he came in 1933 to this country and where he taught and did his research for many years. And at that time, from what I understand, the university, maybe like today, they provided housing for at least some of the professors. So the university provided a house near the campus. And one day, young Charlie McCutchen, apparently he was 9 or 10 years old at the time, was on the grounds of this Institute for Advanced Study flying his kite. And the kite came down to land on the grass, and a man was walking along and picked up the kite and took a look at it, and he said he admired the delicate workmanship of the kite and the little, hold on for this, multi-tetrahedral structure. Now, I Googled that, and I still don't know what it means, but apparently it's angles or something. And maybe, I'm sure some people here might be familiar with it, but it's not just like a regular kite. So the kite comes down, and I don't think it was a crash landing, in front of this gentleman who's walking by, and he picks it up, and he says to the little boy, "Is this your idea?" And Charlie responds, No, Alexander Graham Bell's. And, of course, the fellow who picked up the kite was Albert Einstein. Now, I didn't make this up. I just found out about this in the past couple of months from Jack. This is in correspondence between Charles' father and the head of the Institute for Advanced Studies, so it's contemporaneous at the time. And the head of the institute said, well, that's just an indication of Einstein's humanity, that he would stop, for a little boy and admire his kite, and I think it's quite a story. I just wanted to share in a couple of highlights for me of the orchestra over all these years. A couple of things that have happened. I remember one year at a Carnegie concert, we had a guest performer, as we do, when she was a professional viola player. She came out, and have the little platform for the conductor there, and then on the platform there was a chair. So she started to sit down, and she fell to the floor. And nevertheless, holding on to the viola, that was secure. And everybody, we kind of gasped, and but she got up and composed herself, sat down, and just gave a beautiful performance. And I just thought, then and now, what professionalism. I mean, to have, that happen, and packed crowd at Carnegie Hall, gets up, performs like nothing happened. One other time, I don't know when it was, they started, the conductor gives the downbeat, and the orchestra starts to play, and within a minute or so into the piece, he stops the orchestra, just cold. And, I'm not a musical person, and I didn't know what was going on. He didn't like the way they started. I mean, they weren't coordinated, or they didn't get off right. And it just seemed to me that he was thinking that he was going to get it right, rather than try to kind of fake it, until the next part of the music. And if he had to stop that in front of the whole crowd, and maybe there was a music critic there, didn't matter. It was, this is a teaching orchestra. These are students, and we do things right. And it just, impressed me that he would do that as a young person himself. The last part of the experience, which has already been mentioned a little bit, is the first music program, and that's just impressed me. We have 3 young composers a year who write original pieces, which are all get their debut performance in Carnegie Hall. And after the 9 or 10 minute piece is over, the composer is usually way down on the left side there in the box, stands up and acknowledges the applause. And just, someone who's 23 or 25 years old, having their piece performed in Carnegie Hall, for the first time. How many composers in total, get to Carnegie Hall? And that's something we do and we've done for many years. Tonight, I think, is the second time that Stephen has introduced me. As far as I can remember, the first time was to his girlfriend, Kay, who is now, fortunately, his wife, and finally, and the way we met them, they were walking meeting us. They were walking up 57th Street towards 7th Avenue, towards Carnegie Hall, and my wife Marcia and I were outside. Everybody's a little nervous, and we met them, and of course, we were going to a New York Youth Symphony concert, and that's the way it started. Just a word about Joe Garfield. Leslie and Joe were on tour with us in Argentina, I guess about 4 years ago. And the last day of the tour, you went out to a ranch, and they had horses like in a corral with the gauchos there, and you could get a horse ride. And then we had lunch at the ranch. So Marcia and I are standing off to the side of the corral and are saying, "No way, we're not going on the horses." And so we're watching the kids, so to speak, take their rides. And then next thing is Joe is online, and she gets up on a horse and rides around. I think she knew better what she was doing than everybody else. And there she was, riding on that horse, got down, nothing, so just, I was impressed. I don't know. All right, well, I've probably gone over my time a little bit, but tonight is the gala. It is a fundraiser. This is our major event for the year. So I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight. People who have taken tables, people who have taken tickets. It's this is what we do. So on behalf of the McCutchen Foundation, Ann, Jack, Steve, myself, I would like to tell you that this year's grant is $150,000. Thank you.
Please welcome Barbara Field to honor Jessie Montgomery.
Goodness. It's my special pleasure, and I want to make sure you can hear there, to present this year's New York Youth Symphony's Kesselman Arts Education Award to the widely acclaimed, triple-talented violinist, composer, and educator, and alumna of the Youth Symphony Orchestra, Jessie Montgomery. If you haven't already, you can learn more about Jessie's extraordinary accomplishments and awards in tonight's program. And her calendar, we are told, is booked with commissions and curated series of contemporary music far into the future, in addition to teaching and performing. Her growing body of work includes solo, chamber, vocal, and orchestral works, and is about to include the reconfiguring of a 1911 Scott Joplin opera. That should be fun. Jessie grew up on Manhattan's Lower East Side during the 1980s and 90s, a time of artistic experimentation and community activism. Her mother, Robbie Macaulay, was a distinguished playwright, storyteller, and voice for greater social equity. Her father, Ed Montgomery, equally concerned with supporting new voices, is a composer and ran a studio for jazz, punk, and opera musicians. I have known Jessie since she was 4 years old and started studying violin with Alice Knack at 3rd Street Music School Settlement. She began composing at age 11, inspired by Knack's emphasis on improvisation. In addition to Jessie's singular solo performances, playing the violin also led her to study chamber music, at which she excelled and became one of 3rd Street's leading group performers. Some of you may have heard her over the years. During her 3rd Street years, while also exposed to the downtown milieu of her parents, Jessie was learning violin techniques and repertoire suited to both uptown classical music establishment and the world of improvisation. She claims that she has always been interested in trying to find the intersection between types of music, and that clearly is a driving feature of her work. Different types of music, not the same. Jessie has made a significant contribution over the years to the Youth Symphony, initially as a member of the orchestra, as I mentioned, and more recently through her work with the outstanding director of our composition program, Kyle Blaha, and his students, of course, aspiring students to be. Not to be outdone, our chamber music program, led by the esteemed violinist Lisa Tiplin, has invited Jessie to give a master class for its students this coming spring. I can't wait. Last but not least, Jessie, wherever you are, there. Come over here. Yeah. I have a deep personal interest in celebrating you and your accomplishments. Having had a front row seat at 3rd Street Music School as its executive director for all those years while you were learning to become the brilliant and creative violinist and musician you are today. So many warm memories. And now I am happy, goodness, to present our honoree and our, oh, that's weird. Well, I want to present you with the Kesselman, New York Symphony's Theodore L. Kesselman Arts Education Award. Thank you.
Barbara got me a little teary there. Yes, she has known me since I was 4 years old, and incredible to have the continued support throughout my entire life and career as a musician, Barbara, really. And also to have my 3rd Street family here with me today. They seem to be everywhere I look, and honestly, music education, we all know, we're all here to celebrate the beauty of that and what it can bring to a person's life. I didn't know I was going to get teary. So music has been, of course, my path in life. It saved me from a lot of dips and possible dips and dives. I did grow up in New York City, after all. And I always turned to music to focus me and ground me, and it was my path forward. And with the support of amazing teachers and programs like the New York Youth Symphony, I was able to remain on that course and really stay focused throughout my life, and aspire to all of the things that I've been very fortunate to achieve at this point in my career. And I'm just honored to be able to continue to share my gifts and my work with young people, continuing on, like Barbara mentioned, giving master classes for Lisa's students in the spring. We did a workshop, we did a recording, the New York Youth Symphony did a recording of one of my pieces last during the pandemic, and we were able to being able to engage with the students during this very difficult year was extremely moving to see their enthusiasm and commitment during such a difficult time. And really, music education and the inspiration and the motivation that it brings to a young person cannot be. You can't measure it. It's what our world feeds off of. It's why we're all here today. And I'm just honored to be able to continue that legacy of Mr. Kesselman and to continue to honor all of the work that we're all doing. So thank you all very much.
Oh, Jessie, I'm feeling a little verklempt myself right now. Congratulations to Ben and Jessie. And join me in thanking Emily here tonight, who's also signing for us. This is me. This is me. Yeah, this is me. And this is you. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce the musical portion of our program this evening. Jessie, as you may know, our orchestra and chamber music students performed and recorded 2 of your works last year. In fact, our orchestral recording will be released later this year. I'm very excited to hear this. I'm very excited to play it on the radio as well. And so in your honor, Jessie, we are thrilled to perform your string quartet, Strum. Please welcome to the stage the Amoroso Quartet, Myra Quay, Ira Sung, Georgia Post-Lipnick, and Lila Holyoke to perform the music of Jessie Montgomery. Keep it going for the Amoroso Quartet. Jessie, Montgomery. Take another bow. You know, this string quartet is just one of 32 chamber music ensembles from this last year's chamber music program. The New York Youth Symphony was overwhelmed with students from around the country this last year dying for the musical connections they were missing because of the pandemic. New York Youth Symphony proudly answered those calls and thrived. People often ask us, as you heard earlier, what the New York Youth Symphony actually did all this last year, and you've heard a lot about it tonight. And of course, there was a mix of online programming as well as in-person instruction. There were rehearsals, small performances, but one of the most incredible projects, and you heard about it already, is the first ever professional recording of the works of Jessie Montgomery, Valerie Coleman, and Florence Price. These works had never been recorded before. It's a fantastic new recording to be released soon, and we thought it might be good to see how it happened. So, as they say in sports, roll the videotape.
Continue warming up for a few minutes and we'll wait for these people to show up. Everybody tune. Let's do percussion here at the top, okay? Percussion here at the top, okay? Hi, I'm Mike Brepper. I'm the music director of the New York Youth Symphony. I'm really excited that you're all here. I know that you're excited as well. I'm stoked. This is a big, big moment for the New York Youth Symphony. It's New York Youth Symphony's first studio album. There was a lot of thought and energy that went into what would make a very special project that the New York Youth Symphony could accomplish during the difficult time that we're going through worldwide. Obviously, you know, when everything was breaking down in March of 2020, we really didn't know what was going to be possible, what's not going to be possible, and we took a very long time to create a really unique project that is actually a debut for the New York Youth Symphony. Our very first studio album. We have to do it differently than normal. Normally we would be able to have the entire group in the room together. Now we have to do it distanced, we have to do it, you know, separated and things like that, but it's a really good experience for our students to get comfortable with recording and getting an excellent educational experience.
When we were thinking about what we could do in the midst of this pandemic, recording was like the #1 thing. It's important skill for our students to learn as the next generation. This digital moment is going to be forever.
One of the pieces that we're playing is called Umoja, and that's by Valerie Coleman, and Umoja means unity. And I can't think of a better piece to sort of bring us all together in this time, even though we have to play separated.
Started this whole process in the summertime, even discussing the whole thing. And there was, you know, Zoom calls and discussing how we might actually do this and make it work during this time, during the pandemic. Because it's very different to how you record an orchestral album. So we're breaking things up and recording groups separately to be able to, you know, make sure we don't have too many people in the room.
So for violinists, what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to wear the cord on your left side.
The biggest challenge is that the whole orchestra will never be in the same room at the same time. First we recorded the strings, and then we threw together sort of a scratch track that the winds could play against, the winds and percussion. So they are hearing the strings. The strings have never heard the winds. They're going to be very surprised when they hear the whole thing.
After being in quarantine because of the pandemic for so long, you kind of forget what it's like to play with other people in person. So coming in to record this album has really reminded me not to take music for granted.
One of the pieces that we're going to be playing is Ethiopia's Shadow in America by Florence Price. It's one of my favorite pieces by Florence Price, and regretfully, there isn't a studio album recording of it by an American orchestra, so I'm really excited to be making the very first one. We're also going to be performing Florence Price's Piano Concerto, which is a really excellent piece, and actually the edition that you're going to be hearing on this album is brand new. It's Florence Price's newly found original orchestration.
I always thought growing up that people that looked like me in the 19th and 20th centuries just weren't a part of the classical composition sphere. So I love learning about Florence Price and her works, including the piano concerto, which we recorded, and having that previous mindset being proved wrong while playing a piece composed by someone who looks like me for the first time.
I was introduced to the Florence Price Concerto in 2016. This whole experience recording the concerto, it has been so exhilarating. I'm so impressed with the work that has been put in by the New York Youth Symphony, by their wonderful conductor, Michael. Just everyone has really taken this so seriously, and it means so much. And I am so incredibly excited. I can't imagine what it's going to be like to sit there and hear the final product. And for the first time, be able to hear myself playing this piece that I love so much, that means so much to me, at such a high level. I really look forward to it.
The final piece that we're going to be playing is a piece by New York Youth Symphony alum Jessie Montgomery called Soul Force.
I really admired Montgomery's creative instrumentation in this piece. I think her utilization of brass and percussion allows her to create a great range of sound and colors that is really uncommon among most orchestral repertoire.
To be able to rehearse and record in person is really meaningful because, especially during this pandemic, there are not many opportunities for musicians to get out there and perform with their friends, so I think it's really nice to be able to have this opportunity.
My hope for this project is, one, to provide, first and foremost, the most amazing learning experience for our students that we can, especially in the midst of this pandemic. Secondly, I think team-wise, team-building-wise, for the New York Youth Symphony community, this is incredible. We have truly rallied all of our staff, our artistic staff, our faculty, our parents, our board around this. It's providing a sense of hope and light in an otherwise very dark moment. And I'm so proud of everybody coming together around this. I wish we could have all of us together at Carnegie Hall like usual. But in the absence of that, this is the most amazing thing we could have done, and I'm so excited about it.
In for a treat, one last piece of music, performing the second movement of the Florence Price Piano Concerto. Please welcome music director Michael Repper, pianist Emily Jane Luo, and members of the New York Youth Symphony Chamber Orchestra. Michael Repper, and members of the New York Youth Symphony. Outstanding. I can't wait for the recording to come out later this year, and mark your calendars. The New York Youth Symphony will be at Carnegie Hall on November 21st. The jazz band will be playing at Birdland. I'm going to be there December 12th, and check the website for tickets and information. If you were inspired tonight, this is a fundraising event. I would like you to just take out your cell phones. This is going to be really easy. You can do this now or later, but write this down. All you have to do is text play NYYS to the numbers 44321. I'll give this to you again. I don't see your cell phones out. Okay, we're going to do this one more time, all right? Okay, there we go. All right. You know how to do this? Maybe start with the number at the top. You're going to text the number is 44321, and then text the word, all one word, no spaces, play, NYYS, and it will go right to the donation page. Give till it hurts. Just make sure and leave all the money that you have for the New York Youth Symphony. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and have a great rest of your evening.